podcast. I am your host, Joe Lopez. If you're enjoying the content, please go ahead and follow, subscribe, smash, squish on whatever button, iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. Today, I have a special edition. I've always wanted to do this. It is the college football edition of the Read Your Keys podcast. And I have my friend Ricky Monte, who I talk college football with all the time. We were out to breakfast one time, Ricky, and we're just cracking on each other, talking college football. And this guy next to us was just like, "You guys should do a show." And we were like, "All right." I mean, this is just what we do. We just, we talk college football amongst other things. So last year the Rona messed it up, and I think this year we'll be able to go ahead and do it. And so I'm excited about having you on, brother. Welcome, my boy Ricky.
Yeah, it's great to be here, man. It's that time of year. We love college football. I mean, we love sports, and I do love the NFL, but for whatever reason, college football just seems to, the crowd, the enthusiasm, the kids playing for nothing except for pride, and just love it, man. I want to start doing a road trip every year. In fact, I'm going on one next week.
That's right. Where are you going, Ricky?
To Atlanta to see the soon to be college football champions Miami Hurricanes take on Alabama. No, it's not a big deal for us because we're used to playing in big games. Alabama's scared though.
Nick Saban is he's just so worried about what Manny Diaz is going to cook up. He's like, this guy's going to bring up something I've never seen before.
You got to admit though, if you're going to beat Bama right now, week one, with Bryce Young, who's never quarterback before, who's financially set already because of the new rules, this is the time to beat them. They lost. How many people did they lose? Did they lose like 11 players or something from that roster last year?
Bama?
Yeah.
They lost. I mean, they lost Najee Harris. I think 2 receivers, Mac
Both
Jones.
of them, they lost a lot of defensive players.
Yeah, I can't even. You can't. It's really hard to keep track. I think I've told you this before. It's like Alabama is rolling so much that you can't keep track of. Like, hey, they lost some D line, 6'5", 300-pound guy who runs a 4.8 because they have that guy every single year now. So it is really come to that point where you can't keep track. Whereas like Miami loses Jalen Phillips, and there's no replacement for Jalen Phillips. It's like at a program like Miami now that it takes a while to get a guy like that. You had a transfer from UCLA.
So let me ask you something. I want you to compare something. Because right now, Alabama just reloads, right? But in the 2000s, when Miami had that great team, or the 80s, really in the 80s, Miami just reloaded. Which teams do you think are better? The greatest Miami Hurricane team or this era Alabama Crimson Tide team under Saban?
Well, to be fair, college football has changed quite a bit. So to compare what Miami did during that time was incredible. We'd never seen it. But now the Clemsons, the Ohio States, the Bamas, they're doing that every single year. Because I think the college football playoff really, the elite guys now, they're all going to these programs, and for the most part they're waiting their turn. Whereas maybe before they would have just gone to another school and spread out. So it was really cool seeing what Miami did. Because I mean, during that era, what you had Bubba Franks, Shockey, and Kellen Winslow all lined up. It's like, oh my gosh, they're first rounders. But now at Bama, they just lost 2 first-round wide receivers, and there's another guy waiting in the wings of John Meacham, I think. Mm-hmm. Is that him there? So they're all stacked up, and the way they use the quarterbacks now, I mean, that's a whole nother level. Whereas 20 years ago they weren't using. I mean, you're talking about Ken Dorsey compared to De'Aaron King, where it's like the level of athleticism at the QB position now. The guy is already a better athlete than the quarterbacks were from 20 years ago.
Yeah, we just recruited a quarterback that's athletic. So we're well, Rhett Lashley is our offensive coordinator, and he was
where's he from? That name sounds familiar.
Houston. I believe it's Houston.
Was he there with was he there with who was
the guy that went to Ohio, the guy that went to Texas and got canned?
Tom Herman.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, but, that's probably what sounds.
No, he was there a couple years. No, he was there a couple years ago when they ran up all those points.
Yeah, when Tom Herman was at Houston, right?
Wait, was he at Houston or SMU? I'm drawing a blank right now. Was he at Houston or SMU?
Well, Tom Herman was at Ohio State. He was a QB coordinator at Ohio State when they won the Natty, and then he went to Houston, and then Houston was a solid program for what they are.
Yeah, I'm talking about Lashley though.
Yeah, I don't know. He would probably know.
I may be wrong on the Houston. I think he was at SMU because SMU was putting up some major points.
Let me look it up.
Yeah, Lashley. But when he came on board, I was excited because I'd seen the team play, and they were running up some points.
Yeah, SMU.
Yeah, he was at SMU, and they were putting up some major points.
Just in the quick Wikipedia, it's mentioning Springville, Arkansas. That's where Gus Malzahn is from. He's from down that way, so he might be connected to Gus Malzahn. They said he's with at SMU. So Sonny Dykes is over there at SMU.
That's an ex-Miami Hurricane.
Sonny Dykes is a Miami Hurricane.
Yeah, he left Miami and went to Colorado State for a while.
Yeah, I know he was with Mike Leach.
See, and there you go. And now Mike Leach is at Mississippi State.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got all these offensive geniuses that are coming into the SEC, not Lashley, because that's the ACC. And they're trying to compete with these SEC defenses. Now you got the merge. Now you got Texas and Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. I think we'll get to that. What we'll do first is let's go through the top 25 and kind of comb through there. Because I think the alignment stuff, I want to get to that later, but I want to see once it all finally shakes out, because they're talking about like alliances and stuff. It's like, I don't know how that works. I want to get to college football right now as it stands and playing the games as they stand right now, because we can go off and get lost in all the realignment stuff. So let me pull up the top 25 and see what we think here. We're at week 0 this week.
Oh, week 0. Yeah, that's not some good games.
Tremendous games.
No, not in week 0. When all you got Hawaii and UCLA on ESPN, man.
It's the game of the week.
Whatever.
You're messing up my segments, man. You're messing up my segments, man. We're gonna go to the game of the week too. All right, the top 25. I'm using the coaches poll. You can. It's week 0. These polls don't really matter until the college football playoffs start. But looking at it right now, top 5. What do you see here?
Well, I see the usual suspects.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama, right? They're just going to be incredible. Unfortunately, they're going to have to rally back from 0-1, as you know. Other than that, they'll run the table after that, though. Number 2, Clemson. So they lose Trevor Lawrence, but they got the boy from Bosco.
DJ Uiagalelei.
Yes, and I think he lit up Notre Dame for like 400 yards when Trevor Lawrence was out. So they're not going to miss a beat. Mm-hmm. And speaking of Clemson, it was really sad to see Etienne go down for the year.
That's true. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I liked him. He's a good back.
Me too. So Clemson will be right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if everybody knows this, but I'm a Miami fan. Very neutral, but I'm a Miami Hurricane fan. And we got to go through Clemson and Alabama if we want to win a national championship.
Uh-huh.
So Oklahoma is interesting because last year they started off 0-2, and then they ran the table. They lost to Kansas. I forgot who they played.
Kansas. Yeah, that was
terrible. Yeah. That was terrible. But Rattler their quarterback.
Spencer Rattler, yeah.
Yeah, they're thinking that he's a Heisman candidate, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to be really tough, right? They can't just get off to a bad start. And I don't think they'll get off to a bad start this year. I haven't seen their schedule to see any marquee non-conference games.
Who, Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Well, you got the Texas game as always.
No, non-conference game.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Now I don't know how good Texas is yet.
Let's see. Pull up the schedule. Let's see. They start off with Tulane.
Okay, that's tough.
What's their schedule? Oh, West Carolina, Nebraska, West.
Don't play nobody. Kansas. They can run the table, man.
Yeah. They're set up. They're set up pretty well.
Yeah, they're set up well. So Oklahoma at the 3 spot. So while Alabama is going through the SEC, which is brutal in and of itself, Clemson opens up with Georgia.
Yes, that's why I was making fun of you. I sent the text.
Yeah, I know.
It was like you're gonna be crying, and then we can actually watch a good football game after with Georgia and Clemson.
I deleted that text just so you know. I always delete nonsense and people that don't know football. I delete their text when they try to talk. So you got that. So right, if you think about it, like in the top 3 right there, Oklahoma is set up with their schedule to finish number 1, right?
Yeah.
So Ohio State. Now they just announced who their quarterback is. I haven't seen any of their new quarterbacks.
Who did they announce? What I was going to ask about that.
I can't remember.
Is it CJ Stroud? I know that was a kid from Rancho Cucamonga.
Who was the other one? It wasn't he. I don't think it was him.
No, I don't know the other ones. And that was the one I was kind of rooting for, just because
he's
kind of like from Southern California kid.
Yeah, but Ohio State. See their conference. There's really nobody else in there. I mean, Penn State's was down. Wisconsin, it's always competitive, but
it's a solid program that'll give you a good game.
Yeah, so
not elite.
Ohio State will be there, right? And Georgia is going to have to pick up the pieces if Bama goes down, if they stumble. Georgia.
Well, damn. I mean, they start off with Clemson.
If they beat Clemson, wow.
But even if they beat Clemson, let's take a look at their schedule.
I mean, they're in the SEC East, though, right?
Oh, still, let's see. Clemson, UAB, South Carolina, Vandy, Arkansas, Auburn. We'll see how that goes because they got a new coach over there.
Auburn's not even ranked.
No, I know. Florida, Tennessee. That's actually for SEC schedule. They got set up pretty good, but then they have to go to the SEC National Championship.
You always got to look at the crossover games with the SEC East. Who you playing from the West, right? Now they're saying Tennessee is going to be better this year, so that could be a trip. I think they go to Knoxville for that one. So, but they're set up to win the SEC. But you got to go through Bama. The only game you can lose is Bama if you want to make the playoff, because you can't get 2 losses, right? And then another SEC team at 6, 3 of the top 6.
Hold on, let's go to the top 5. Because like for me,
okay,
this right here all makes sense. These are the new. Hey, these are kind of automatic.
Those are heavyweights,
yeah, the heavyweights. So Ohio State, they got the new QB. Clemson has a new QB-ish. DJ got playing time last year, and I'm a UCLA fan through and through. But I just actually recorded a podcast with Big Dave yesterday, so that'll be coming out on Friday.
What, his uncle?
DJ's dad. No, his dad.
Oh, his dad.
His daddy. Yeah, he's cool. He's cool.
I worked out with his cousin.
Who, Mao?
No. Oh man, I haven't seen him since COVID.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But so, that's my dog in the fight, and being from Southern California, I'm a UCLA guy, so we'll get to the UCLA preview in a bit. But so looking at the top 5, the big question for me is always the QB and the defense. Bama's got a Bryce Young, first time starter, but the thing with that kid is he's played tons of big games. I mean, we're not talking about a normal true freshman. He's from modern day. They play games all across the country. I mean, St. John Bosco's defense is probably better than what he's going to face against Miami. Just
Excuse me?
Yeah,
Excuse
it's just
I don't even believe you said that like on the air. Really,
this is recorded. So yeah, this is recorded. So you got Clemson, Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, Spencer, Rattler, Ohio State. I mean, they're Ohio State, but man, I don't know that Justin Fields, that's a huge loss. He's a
check your
tremendous
schedule real quick. Who's their marquee game?
Ohio State.
Yeah, because
marquee
strength of
games.
schedule is going to matter.
Man, the thing is, you can't even say Ohio State or Michigan is a premier game anymore. Oregon, boom. But I mean,
that's more important for Oregon.
Yeah, I agree. We'll talk about Oregon. I'm not.
Look at this nasty schedule.
Look at that.
So Indiana and Penn State are their toughest game.
Yeah. Indiana is on the come up, but
come on, man.
Not compared to what Ohio State is.
Isn't their quarterback coming off an injury too?
Indiana's, I don't know.
I think so.
It says here CJ Stroud name is Ohio State starting QB.
Oh, it is CJ Stroud. Okay.
All right. I'm going to be rooting for them. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I like Day. Day's a good coach.
Ryan Day?
Yeah.
What was their issues last year?
Ohio State?
Oh, they just got beat up. They got beat up in the semifinal game, right?
No, they went to the championship game.
Yeah, but they got beat up in the semifinal game, and then they went in hurt.
Come on, they played Bama. They weren't going to beat Bama.
Yeah, but didn't they play Clemson?
Yeah, they destroyed Clemson.
Yeah, but it didn't Justin Fields get banged up in that game is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but he was fine for the
I mean, it's easy for you to say. You don't know them taking shots.
They weren't going to play. They weren't beating Alabama, man.
Yeah, that's a good team.
They're playing an NFL team.
Well, that's the same thing. That's the same thing with Ohio State, though. They are an NFL team. They got dudes, man. Georgia's the one that it's kind of intriguing to me. I think they said JT Daniels is going to be the starting QB there.
Yeah,
former Mater Dei guy, former SC guy transferred in. I don't remember watching him too much at SC. I liked Keaton Slovis, so I think that was the reason that he ended up transferring.
Well, didn't he get hurt and Slovis took over?
Yeah, I think he might have gotten hurt too.
Then he transferred to Georgia, got off to a slow start, and came on strong at the end. They're talking about him as a Heisman candidate.
I don't. The thing with Georgia, I think that they, because what's the coach's name over there at Georgia? He's a defensive guy. He was over at Bama.
He was their coordinator. Drawing a blank. If you say his name, I'll know it.
Yeah, but I think with what separated Saban was he was able to play in the era when you can grind it out on defense. Now you need to have that guy on offense that can take you over the top. That like when Kiffin came over to Bama and kind of changed up the offense, and Sark, so he has all these offensive guys come in and do the same thing at Clemson. They got offensive guys. Ryan Day's offensive guy. Oklahoma. They got an offensive head coach who's able to get points. At Georgia, I don't see that there. I think that they might actually be a coordinator away from being able to get over the top and have,
because of their offense.
What's that?
Because of their offense.
Yeah, because their defense is always really good. Kirby Smart. There it is.
Yeah. Georgia's got weapons.
I didn't say they didn't have weapons, but it's putting it together on offense with an offensive guy to put up those points.
Yeah, Georgia's always in a position, it seems like.
Yeah.
I remember recall where they'll get knocked out by
Bama.
Well, no, they won't play Bama.
Well,
Bama's in the SEC championship.
Exactly.
Because they're in the SEC, they're going to get knocked out by Florida or maybe a Tennessee or a crossover game against LSU, right? Mm-hmm. So now they got one loss. So now they can't afford to lose to Bama in the Southeast Conference Championship game, or they're out. That's their championship game right there. Where Bama is always coming in undefeated. If they lose to Georgia, they're still going to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is a good top five though. Like if I was looking at it, it's like I got the order is gonna change obviously once we see them play out, but the top five I think is a very good top five. And I think it's come to the point where you can say this, for the previous 2 years or the next 2 years, that this is kind of how it might shake out, just the way what college football is. So
that can stay the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like this. I like the top five. Let's go ahead and get out to some others. Let's go 6 through 10. I think looking at this, the one that jumps out is Cincinnati at 10. That's like, that seems pretty high.
That's a mercy rating. That's a mercy rating, man. Yeah. You mean to tell me Cincinnati can beat Florida, Oregon, LSU, and SC?
Yeah.
That's a mercy rating.
Yeah.
And they're not gonna play nobody. So.
No, that's what I think. That's a function of that. Iowa State has been good. Notre Dame, that's in there. A&M and Fisher, Jimbo Fisher. North Carolina, that actually belongs there. Mac Brown is turning that thing around really quick.
That's gonna be Miami's toughest, after Bama, their toughest opponent. Carolina can put up their quarterback is good, really good, and they put up a ton of points. They destroyed us last year.
Mm-hmm.
Destroyed us. I turned that game up in the first quarter.
You were answering no texts.
No texts, no calls, no nothing. And guess what? I got a whole lot of them.
Yeah, you sure did. Yeah,
A&M.
North Carolina.
A&M just they got a redshirt quarterback. They just named their starter.
Oh, they did.
Yeah,
I liked Kellen Mond. He was pretty solid, but they need that over the top. Haynes King named Texas A&M. That's a strong name.
If you just look at without looking at their schedule, just look at the conference. That's brutal.
Colorado, New Mexico, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Bama, Mizzou, South Carolina, Auburn, Ole Miss, Prairie View, and LSU. Oof.
Go to the top again, Mississippi.
Colorado State's their top non-conference game.
Colorado or Kent State, so they play a Pac-12 team. Yeah. So all my Pac-12 friends are going to be crying.
Yeah, Colorado. I'm not.
They're going to destroy Colorado.
So long.
Yeah.
Oregon. I don't know why they're so high. They're recruiting really well. But Oregon, yeah, they're recruiting really well. But I don't see them having, like, they lost the left tackle. He didn't even play. Penei Sewell. He didn't even play last year. So, they got guys. So I'm not. And the quarterback, they're breaking in a new quarterback this year. It's not the same starter from last year.
Well, here's the thing. So first of all, you have to finally rank some Pac-12 teams eventually, right? So we get all the way down to 12, and there's Oregon that's finally ranked. And Oregon will no longer be ranked 12 after week 2 because they play Ohio State. Mm-hmm. So Oregon always puts himself in a position like this. And I'm giving credit. I actually like Oregon, but their strength of schedule is always going to be weak, but they always schedule a really good game. And it's typically like an SEC school, like
Auburn when
Auburn,
quarterback
LSU
from
1 year.
Yeah,
this year's Ohio State, right? The problem is their whole season is on the line because if they lose that game, they're done. In fact, that's a Pac-12 representation for the playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
If you beat Ohio State, you have a shot at running the table. Problem is, when you go to the Pac-12, you usually get knocked off by one of those teams.
SC's got a veteran quarterback coming back, and I actually like Keaton Slovis.
I thought SC was going to be good this year. I don't think they play anybody though. Their schedule is favors them.
San Jose State is their out of conference. BYU.
Notre Dame.
They
play BYU?
Yeah, BYU. I like BYU. They're physical. They're fun to watch.
Okay.
Listen, I'm not saying that they're the best team. I'm saying I enjoy the style of play.
They're not even ranked, but
yeah, I enjoy the style of play.
BYU was a COVID ranking last year.
I'm just saying I liked them from before because they play a physical style. Kalani Sitake will go for it on 4th down. He goes for 2-point conversion. It's fun. It's fun football to watch.
I like him as a coach.
It's fun football to watch.
They need to get in a conference.
Yeah. They do really well if they were able to get into a conference.
Get to the Pac-12. Pac-12 needs them.
I don't know. They get into other things outside of football into into making those decisions, which I think is dumb. It should be a football decision, but what do I know? Florida,
They're always an anomaly, aren't they?
yeah. I mean, it's not the Urban Meyer, Steve Spurrier, Florida yet, but Dan Mullen. I mean, he did good at Mississippi State. Maybe he just
Who's their quarterback? Their problem has always been the quarterback position.
Yeah, they think they just lost the guy, right? He went to the draft, the big kid. We were talking about him before. No, it was a different kid.
They play. Oh, their crossover games, Bama. That's not good for them.
Yeah, Kentucky, Vandy, LSU, LSU, Georgia. That's a tough stretch.
So they got their crossover,
and then they play Florida State at the end, which
Florida State's nothing.
No,
unless they've improved, which I haven't. I don't know. That's an anomaly.
Yeah. All right, let's go. We'll skip Florida because we'll let you do a Florida preview or a Miami preview after USC, Wisconsin. Yeah, this is pretty good. LSU's first game is going to be against UCLA. The thing with LSU is, they lost Joe Burrow, and then they lost the offensive coordinator, and it looked like things ran off the rails for them.
They had a bunch of young people. They were very young last year. This year, their starting quarterback hurt his non-throwing shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if he's playing in the UCLA game.
No, I don't. He's supposed to be like mid-season, something
mid-season,
like that.
Okay, but their second-string quarterback performed pretty decent when he played. So
in their spring game.
No, last year he had played some games.
Yeah, so the thing, I like Coach O at Orgeron, even when he was at SC.
Oh, SC's crying over that right now because
yeah. I actually would have preferred he stayed at SC just from a college football fan perspective, and the Pac-12 needs good coaches. So
I like him in the SEC.
No, I like him too. I think if let the good coach. The thing with Coach O though, it seems a little bit like who was the head coach at Auburn? He won with Cam Newton, and then like a season or two later, he ended up getting canned.
That wasn't Malzahn.
No, it was before Gus Malzahn. What was his name? But anyway, it seems a little bit like that with LSU. It's like, hey, we got this, this great season, great quarterback last year. It wasn't the normal season, so I'm hoping they bounce back. Obviously, I want UCLA to win.
Them and Bama were always great games when LSU's good.
Yeah. So we'll see how LSU does. I mean, they got dudes there. Indiana, they're a good program on the rise. Wisconsin, we talked about how they're solid. Same thing happened at Penn State. They had James Franklin, the coach, Joe Moorhead, the OC. They were putting up points. Saquon Barkley, he takes off, and then the offense seems like it's been struggling ever since.
Yeah. What do you think about Texas?
I'm rooting for Texas, man. I like Texas, and I think Sark's a good choice over there. I'm rooting for him to do well and bounce back. He's been in charge of big time programs, SC, Washington. He was at SC during the glory days. Hopefully learned a lot under Saban. I think it's good for college football when Texas is up.
Yeah, I'm rooting for him too. I hope they do really well, and I hope Sark has his personal problems put aside. He's offensive genius, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
that could really help them. I thought they overreached anyway when they hired Herman, because Herman had a good season or two at Houston,
mm-hmm.
and they brought him on without giving our boy. I didn't even think Charlie Strong had a good shot, enough time to even do anything in Texas.
Yeah, but I like Charlie Strong, but I like the Tom Herman move because he had that kind of Urban Meyer trajectory. Remember, Urban Meyer was at the small schools. He was at Utah before Utah was even in the Pac-10. They were kind of, and then he makes the big jump from Utah over to Florida. I thought could have been a similar type of thing for Tom Herman, but it didn't
I never
work.
thought it was gonna do good.
I like the move because
where is he now?
I don't know where he is now. He should
He's
be
probably
somewhere.
somebody's coordinator somewhere now.
Yeah. But I liked Tom Herman. I liked the move, but that one didn't work out. Rooting for.
You still like the move?
For what?
Now that you've seen the results, is it still a good move?
Yeah, because I mean, you have to. It's easy to look back in hindsight because it's like, well, who else would they have hired?
Nobody. Keep Strong. Strong.
Well, where's Strong? Where's Charlie Strong at now? Is he back at Louisville?
I think isn't he in Oregon?
No, I think he's at Louisville for some reason. Oh, he's with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay.
Linebackers coach. So yeah, nobody's hired him. I would have made the move.
Oh, you know where he went? I think he went to. Didn't he go to Florida State, and then they canned him and brought in?
No, that was the guy. That was the guy that was at. I think he was at Baylor. He went over to Oregon. He was at Oregon for a year, and then he went to Florida State.
Probably Strong with him. Okay.
Yeah, I forgot his name, but I was surprised that they pulled him away from Oregon because he had 1 year there, and it was like,
that wasn't Strong. Huh?
It was, I was like, I don't understand what the allure.
The guy that was in South Florida, that was the guy we're thinking of right now.
Oh, he's in South Florida.
No, he was in South Florida, from South Florida to Oregon. I think the guy that was in South Florida that
I don't even know where. Yeah, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He wasn't one of the premier coaches. Texas, I'm rooting for them. Penn State, man, I like James Franklin. I want the Big Ten to do good. I want all these conferences to do good, just so because you want to be able to challenge there's like this clear separation of like the top five where it's like this is the standard now, and everybody else trying to meet that and trying to crack in there. But the thing is, when one of these guys outside the top 20, outside of that five, comes up and challenges them, they get smacked down because they don't have the same caliber of players. So I'm rooting for Texas and LSU that's still the SEC, but still for someone to come in here and make it interesting.
So outside the top five, who's your dark horse that can challenge and maybe make a run at the playoffs? Outside the top five.
Oh, I'm looking at Ole Miss down here at the top 20 at number 25. I'm a big Sarkisian or Lane Kiffin fan. He can put up some points. Last year they put up a lot of points on who was it on Bama? Remember we were talking about they put up a good 40 on somebody early.
That was Mississippi State that did that.
No, it was Ole Miss
too with Kiffin. You're right.
Yeah, it was Ole Miss.
Yeah,
because Mike Leach is at Mississippi State, so I'm talking old. Yes. I'm talking Ole Miss.
Yes,
I like Ole Miss. Dark horse, man.
A dark horse that could. I don't think Ole Miss is the dark horse that can hit the top five
to the playoffs.
That's a murderer's row schedule for them. Out of who outside the top five can sneak in and be one of those four.
Well, I always look at it just like who's the best team. I don't really get into analyzing the schedules or anything. It's just who do I think is the best team, and to come in and take over one of these guys. Oof. I don't see it.
I got one team in mind. You're going to be very surprised when I tell you who I think could do it.
Yeah,
I want to hear yours.
Hold on, like Louisiana. Like what'd you call it? A mercy ranking?
Very mercy. Very
Coastal Carolina.
Very
Miami mercy ranking.
No, that's a disgrace to have us that low. That's what that is. That's bias.
I don't see any. I mean, if I'm gonna pick anybody, I would say Texas.
Okay, Texas is fair. That's a good pick, actually, because really all they got to do is beat Oklahoma. I'm going to go, and you're going to be surprised because this conference is horrible, but because they're horrible, SC with their schedule could run the table.
The thing is, oh yeah, they could run the table, but I don't see them. It'd be like,
If
remember
they
when
run the table and they're undefeated, you're gonna say that they're not gonna be better than any of those teams. I already know that, but the college football playoff committee will feel pressure to put in a team that's undefeated and leave them out of their Power 5 conference, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and the team that they could conceivably replace is Ohio State, because Ohio State, we don't really know how good they are, and they got a CJ Stroud as their quarterback who's never played, and they could stumble against somebody.
All right, let's circle back to the top 5. So Alabama, no, I'm not really concerned so much about Bryce Young. The new coordinator, Bill O'Brien, he was a Patriots guy, right? He's a Bill Belichick guy.
And Houston.
I don't know if a guy just thinking of like the play calling and thinking of like what Sark used to do, what Kiffin used to do, very creative. I'm not sure if he's the guy to keep that thing growing, because that's a hard thing to replace. They replace coordinators like they reload on first round picks now.
Joe,
what?
Alabama's 0-1. They'll get their way back up, but they're 0-1.
Yeah, so I don't know. For me, like the Bill O'Brien pick for the new coordinator, I wasn't so sure about that. How about you? I'm not Saban. Yeah, for sure.
I trust Saban. I wasn't sure about Sarkisian.
Hey, I would.
Sarkisian in.
If Saban was in the room, I wouldn't say nothing. Like, yeah, go ahead. But right now, I was like, just from a football standpoint, though, looking at the way that the play called and the Patriots, that's what I have in my head is the way the Patriots called plays. Like,
when Saban or Belichick do something, I don't question it.
Belichick, I don't care. I don't care about the NFL.
I know, but Saban and Belichick are tight.
No, yeah,
and they're the two best in their fields.
Clemson. I actually think Clemson is going to be better this year because they had a lot of like their defensive players were really young last year. Especially they had a true freshman who was a monster on the D line. What his name was. I think he's like number 5 interior. He did as a freshman over there, and he did really well. So I think they get a year older, and that's going to help them out.
I think their linebacker's back too. The guy that got kicked out the game. He's like a 6-year senior. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't remember him.
Yeah, he got kicked out for spearing the game against Ohio State. I think he got kicked out against the game against Notre Dame. He's leader, big leader on their team. I think he's got another year of eligibility because of COVID and he took it.
Looking at Oklahoma, the question is always the defense, right? Like, can you get stops? They can put up points, but the stops. Ohio State, new QB, and then Georgia. Are they going to generate enough offense? Because that defense is usually ferocious, man. They always give Bama. So I think from the top 5, those would be my question marks.
Well, if you look at A&M, Georgia, Alabama, they eat their own, right? So they're all in the same conference. Only one team's coming out of that conference more than likely. The ACC overall is, relatively weak. Once you get past Clemson, there's a big gap between Miami and North Carolina to Clemson, right? So Clemson should get there. Oklahoma, because of their defense, they're probably going to have a lot of close games.
High-scoring games, right?
High-scoring, close games, and they're going to need the ball at the end of those high-scoring, close games to win, which means they're vulnerable to be upset, right? And then Notre Dame, I've never been impressed with Notre Dame. Who do they play?
I've been impressed with them. I think those if we kind of go back in a different era of football, like, you know, they're in there and they might actually win, but because the top now is at a different level, they don't get Notre Dame doesn't get the guys that Bama and Clemson do, or Ohio.
Well, I was impressed with them back in the Catholic versus convict days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that Notre Dame and the USC Notre Dame games were great, but like I'm talking about now, I'm not impressed with Notre Dame.
Well,
now.
they're like that program now. They're in between the top 5, right? Of these guys that come in, the Bama, Clemson, SEC, Ohio, you know, the SEC team that will rise up like LSU did, or Auburn comes up, Oklahoma, Ohio State. They're not at that level, but they're also like better than Wisconsin. So they're like in the middle between that elite. And
look on their schedule.
Oh, they usually have a brutal schedule, man.
No, they don't. Watch. Show me this is brutal. What's Florida brutal State, about this?
Toledo, Wisconsin.
Come on, man.
Cincinnati, USC, UNC.
There's your game
Navy,
right there. UNC.
And that's Stanford.
You know what? So they can run the table. This is they can run the table.
Mm-hmm.
They got Cincy at home, and Cincy is only ranked 8th because of last year.
Mm-hmm.
At Wisconsin that's going to be a tough matchup for them.
Yeah,
and they're at home against SC. They can run the table here, and if they run the table, they're going to the playoffs, and they're going to get absolutely massacred and take away a spot from a really good team. Notre Dame should be in a conference, in my opinion.
Well, they kind of have a loose alliance with the ACC now, right? That's what happened last year.
They do.
Because, I mean, at UNC, you have Virginia in here.
Yeah, they should go to the ACC, and I've heard rumors about, like, West Virginia and Arkansas wanting to bolt. So who knows?
All right. And I think that's, the top 25 really is the top 5, and it's going to get shaken out. Obviously, what is that, week 8 when the committee gets together? I'm hoping for some good things. Let's go ahead and give us a Miami preview, Mr. Ricky. Let me see, where's Miami at? What are you looking forward to? What does Miami need to do? What are some strengths? What are some weaknesses you see?
Well,
Miami.
What Miami needs to do, and it falls on Diaz, because Miami has not beaten good teams. When they play good teams, they get destroyed. And they got it, and that's what they've got to change. So this Bama game is really going to be a marker on how good Miami is, whether they win or if they win, then great. If they lose, were they competitive, right? Clemson destroyed us last year. North Carolina destroyed us last year. In the last few years, we play a good team, we get destroyed, and then we lose to teams that we should beat. So I think the game that worries me the most outside of Bama is actually Appalachian State.
Oh, really?
That's a crap game.
The letdown game after?
The letdown game after Bama. If you lose, right, and you're going to play, unless they get blown out, okay, then you're going to be up for Appalachian State. But if you lose a tight one or beat Bama, Appalachian State's a dangerous game. That's not a pushover. Michigan State, they should beat regardless. CC, I think it's Connecticut State is who they play.
Yeah, that's a tough game there for you guys. Who the hell is
no, it's not. And then there's
Central Connecticut Blue Devils. What the hell?
You know what? last year we had to replace, which made me mad because of COVID. We replaced Wagner with Clemson. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't want that. Oh, man. And then North Carolina is going to be a really tough matchup for us. Everything else, we should win. Miami could easily go 10-1.
I mean, the schedule is a schedule. Is there anything that makes you think that this Miami team will be better
Oh yeah,
offensive coordinator moves is,
well,
the roster's older. I mean, you had some big losses. You had,
we had some
first
big
round
losses on defense, right? On the line specifically.
Yeah,
that's going to be tough to replace. On offense, a healthy Derek King is going to be the key to Miami's success. Now, even if he's not as healthy and they have to throw in Jake Garcia, I like him. Very confident at our quarterback position, which I haven't been in quite some time. But Derek King gives them that whole dynamic at the running back position. They haven't named a starter yet because no one's really broken off between Harris, Knighton, and Chaney. But Cameron Harris looks like he's going to be the guy that's going to be carrying the ball the most. Miami's weakness in the past has been offensive line. They've never done a good job of protecting, but these guys are more mature. I don't really know how good they're going to be. The offensive line. Our receiver, Miami's always got speed and weapons, right? Now, the thing about the receivers, in the past, they've had problems with drop balls. They'll get separation, but they'll drop the ball, right? So we got the guy from Oklahoma State, Rembo. We got Harley coming back, and he's going to be good. I think Miami's going to use their tight end a lot. The play action should work well with Derek King, can get him out of any situation with his speed and running the ball. So on offense, I think Miami's going to be fine. I love our offensive coordinator. On defense, we got some really good recruits. The boy that you like, James Williams.
Yeah. The
5-star. Yeah, he should. I'm not sure how much time he's going to get, but I think he's going to get some time because Miami's very deep in the secondary. We got Bubba Bolden coming back as a safety also. Our corners are decent. I think that one of the biggest hits we also took was at linebacker. Miami had a veteran linebacker.
Did they say anything about using James Williams in a hybrid DB
like a striker
linebacker
position?
Yeah, everybody calls it something different, but yeah, striker hybrid.
Yeah,
DB linebacker.
We got the kind of safeties that can actually do that.
You already have those guys.
Yeah, we do. Miami's athletic. It's just that in the
because Bubba Bolden's a big kid, right?
Yeah. Oh, he could be that. He could be that guy too. So in the past, they've come in against the big teams. They appear to be unprepared, and Manny Diaz has to change that. You can't get blown out by North Carolina this year, and they play them at North Carolina, right? You cannot get blown out against Alabama.
That's my criticism of a Miami program, because you can see that they usually have talent, and it's not the same as it was, but they just don't look prepared.
No, and that's been the problem. And they'll struggle against the Virginia Techs and the Virginias and get knocked off by a Pitt. Remember, there was a couple years ago they were undefeated, and we had just beaten Notre Dame, and the turnover chain was going crazy. And I can't remember if I had this conversation with you or somebody else. It's like, I don't think they're going to beat Pitt. And they went to Pitt and lost like a baseball score.
Well, because it was one of those things, but they were winning, but the way they were winning, you're like, this is not sustainable. They're winning on lucky bounces here and there. It doesn't look like they're prepared.
And I knew they weren't as good as their record.
Yeah,
and Pitt beat them.
Yeah, they just like last year I was watching the game and they had like multiple they were mental error penalties. They weren't even effort penalties. They were just mental error penalties, and it's just like they just took them out of the game. It's like, yes, this doesn't seem like a disciplined, like the Butch Davis was like, you knew that this was the dude. He is in charge, kind of like Saban was. He is the one in charge. He has got this thing rolling. These guys are playing for him because they know exactly what's expected of them. I don't get that impression with Manny Diaz. What is this, year 3 for him?
Yeah, I got a buddy that's a Hurricane fan, and he wants Diaz gone now. I think I gotta give him at least 4 years.
I don't know if he finishes this year, to be honest.
Well, he won't get fired during the year, but if they choke, I mean, you're not going to get a better quarterback than Derek King. You've got to win with this guy, and you've got to win good. You've got to build some momentum. So this is our year. This is it. I think he's on the hot seat.
And so on the flip side, UCLA, I'm actually high on UCLA for a few reasons. So they'll say like, oh, look at Chip Kelly's record. What's like, well, the UCLA job was a teardown job. When he took over, there was something like 40 guys left the program. You could say he ran them out, or you could just say he set a standard and it was like, okay, this is the way we're going to do things. And if you don't like it, then you can leave, but you're welcome to stay.
Can you get your schedule while you're talking about him?
Oh, yeah. Let's see. I have to go to LSU to pick up the schedule for them.
Yeah, you do, because you're in a section where UCLA is really not going to be mentioned. Top 25.
Yeah.
In fact, when you go to the top 100, you might not find them.
So Hawaii this week. LSU, the big game, and I think it's like pretty good for us because LSU's playing, play them opener, and I feel bad that the quarterback got hurt, but they're still working out the kinks where we get a week 0 game to kind of work things out. Washington, Oregon, Utah, USC, and these are top 25 teams, but they're not. It's not like we're playing SEC teams.
Top 25. Arizona won't be there. Utah probably may or may not be there.
So the thing with UCLA, so given that background, I think this is actually like year, we'll say 1 of what a Chip Kelly team is supposed to look like.
What year is this? Year 5 or year 4 for him right now?
This is year 4 now. So a lot of the original recruits, they're now seniors, and they also got the benefit of a lot of the guys who were seniors last year. They gave them extra years of eligibility, so they're back. So I think all 11, everybody came back on defense except for Osa Odigizua. He went to the league, so he's the only one that has to get replaced on defense. And they have guys that came in and bumped guys out of spots that were starting last year because I think they got more athletic.
What's your quarterback like?
Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He's a high ceiling guy, but he's also a guy where there's also, you're not sure where the floor was year 1. Last year he improved a lot. I think he was like a 3-to-1 turnover ratio. But the thing is, when the turnovers happened, they were kind of brutal times.
Is he a junior?
He's a senior this year.
The senior this year.
Yeah. So he was a quarterback at Bishop Gorman until his senior year. Tate Martell was a quarterback over at Bishop Gorman, so he was sitting behind him, and so he's taken a lot of lumps. The offensive line now, all 5 starters are coming back, all the receivers are coming back. Demetric Felton went to the NFL, but the guy that he was splitting carries with, he's back. Britton Brown, and then Zach Charbonnet was a transfer from Michigan. He's back in the mix. So I think the offense is going to put up points galore, and I think the defense was something that needed to be worked on. I think we would get run on, like if you watch the SC game, there was just that the physical backs would just kind of beat on us. I think now with some more athleticism at linebacker and able to move some guys over, like Bo Calvert was the middle linebacker before. They're moving them to like a hybrid D-line position. So I think that gives us some more flexibility up front. But yeah, man, I think UCLA, and it really is Chip Kelly. I think that's like the difference between like why I'm high on UCLA and why I'm not high on Miami. Is Manny Diaz. It's like, Chip Kelly's done it before. He's smart. He knows football. And the thing is even though UCLA was losing, they were still prepared, executing and playing hard no matter what the score was. Like they'd be down in a game, but you could still see that they were gang tackling and they were still stripping at the ball. It's like, oh, that's you can't, that's something that gets coached up. Those are effort things. And so I think now they're matching that effort with experience and hopefully more talent. But I think now this year is the year where we see what he had envisioned for the program.
When I hear you talk about UCLA and I hear you say a statement like, this is why I'm high on UCLA and not on Miami, I look at you and I see Biden telling us everything's going well in Kabul. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
That's all you're gonna say, huh?
I do like Chip Kelly. I always have. Here's the thing. It's like when Miami was dominant, they drew boundaries around the state of Miami, and they made sure they got the homegrown kids. UCLA gets homegrown kids, but they're the homegrown kids that USC doesn't want, and the really good homegrown kids don't even go to USC. They go to other conferences. And so USC and UCLA have to get back to owning Southern California. And for whatever reason, they can't get these stud kids in Southern California, and they're not competing at a national level. They're competitive in the Pac-12. And the Pac-12 in and of itself is a competitive conference, but I just don't think they're a Power 5 conference. They can't compete outside of that.
All your points are taken, because there is that the thing is I was looking at Chip Kelly's recruiting classes when he was at Oregon, and they didn't have these knockout top 5 classes stacked up on top of each other. Chip Kelly's a guy, he just kind of does things on his own. Like, so Marcus Mariota, I think as an example, he was like a 3-star skinny kid. He wasn't a top recruit.
Yeah, he recruits to a system that
he's looking for his specific thing. So his stars, regardless, like that's what he recruits to. And I was looking, well, was he producing NFL level guys? And there wasn't a lot of that at Oregon either. I think the biggest lineman, he's who's Howie Long's son?
I can't remember his name. But
yeah. But I think that was one of his the top offensive line recruits that he put out. So there wasn't a lot of that. On the D line too, there might have been like 2 or 3 guys, the big, like Eric Armstead, big. There wasn't a lot of like, and because that's what you look for too, right? It's like, hey, are the big name recruits coming in, and then are they coming out NFL guys on the back end? But you didn't see a lot of that at Oregon. Marcus Mariota wasn't a top end guy coming in. He came out, he was a top quarterback in the draft. Not a lot of receivers, but they like you said, they recruit to a system. And I think that's what he's going to do here. So that's why, like, yeah, the recruiting classes don't look favorable compared to what SC had in their heyday, or what Alabama or Clemson brings in, and Ohio State now bring in on a regular basis. So, like, for me, what I like to watch now for UCLA is like, hey, I want them to win the Pac-12 and then maybe challenge for a playoff spot. But I don't see that. I don't.
This year?
What's that?
Are you high enough on them to even win their division and play in the Pac-12 championship?
To play in the Pac-12 championship? Yeah, I think that's pretty. The South is Arizona, Utah plays tough, Colorado. Yeah, I think the LSU game will tell us a lot. That'll tell us a lot, because those are the big boys. And we don't know
how good LSU is really.
We don't know that either. But I'm high on them. I think this year they've got a lot of experience. Again, is it talented experience? No, but I like Chip Kelly. Like you said, it's a system, and I think this year might be the year that it actually gets rolling. There's guys on defense where it's like, if somebody goes down or somebody needs a breather, there's actually somebody who's competent to be able to come in and replace it. Whereas before, it's like, oh man, if this, like, there was Chris Barnes got hurt in like year 2. He was a linebacker. He ended up with Green Bay. He went out, and then just the whole defense just fell apart once he came out. I think now there's guys where if somebody goes down or somebody needs a breather, there's somebody in there who can still keep it together, or if not, keep a lead, which he's big on, rotating players. And so I'm high on UCLA for this year. I think this is year 1 of what it's supposed to look like. Game of the week. It's got to be UCLA.
Click on this. Oh man, that's in the league.
So you got Nebraska, Illinois.
My gosh.
UConn, Fresno. I like Fresno State. They're tough. They're a tough football team.
You better hope not. They play you.
No, but they're scrappy.
They are. But,
Oh, you know, Hawaii's coach is actually Todd Graham. He was Arizona State head coach a few years back.
That's right.
Yeah, they were fun to watch, man. They blitz like crazy. So that's actually something to look out for, just because like, he just sends guys every single play from everywhere, and it's pretty fun to watch if on TV they're showing that overhead view. It just sends guys. It's fun. It's actually, like, I saw them in person when UCLA and Arizona State played one year, and it was just like your butt puckers up, because it's like you see all the backers creeping up every single play, and it's like, oh man, this guy sends it. It's a lot. He plays a fun style of football.
I can't get into these games. You know what? Week 1 is next week, as far as I'm concerned.
This is the warm up for you, but this is how I'm gonna be pretty happy camper.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm gonna be traveling.
Well, I think this is a way to wrap it up here, man. We'll do this again next week, especially since before you go and fly out to Atlanta and cry.
I'll be in Atlanta.
You'll be crying.
Tuesday, so we'll probably do it, but I can do it from Atlanta.
All right. You'll be crying after the kickoff. Roll Tide, roll.
We'll do it before then.
All right.
Yeah, I leave Tuesday and the game's Saturday.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. So this is the college football edition. We'll be doing this weekly, keeping it posted and checking up on college football. Thanks so much, Ricky, for hopping on today, man, and look forward to doing this year. We've always wanted to do this, brother. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man.
All right.
Take care.